Now that the DC-15 LE explosive shot is fixed, the FWMB-10K can take its rightful place as your go-to all-around heavy weapon. It can take a little bit more to unlock, but once you do, there'll be nowhere else for you to go. Welcome back to Blasters Breakdown, where we take a look at all the stats for the blasters in Star Wars Battlefront 2. Today we're looking at the FWMB-10K, which is the third weapon available to the Heavy class. This weapon is a good all-around weapon for the Heavy class, and now that the DC-15 LE explosive shot glitch is fixed, it's a better option than trying to continue to run that weapon. We'll go over the attachments available, the cooling power, the rate of fire, the damage, accuracy, and how it compares to other weapons within the Heavy class. All numbers were gathered through in-game testing, and then compared to BF Fulcrum's data mined information to confirm accuracy. Where there was a difference, we refer you to the data mined information. The only information that differed in this was the rate of fire or rounds per minute, so for that we'll use BF Fulcrum's numbers. There's a link to his channel in the description and in the card that's coming up on your screen. In the comments, let me know what your favorite class and weapon is and why. If you enjoy this video, make sure to hit that like button to let me know and subscribe so you don't miss when new videos come out on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, and streams Tuesdays and Thursdays at 8 p.m. Central. When we stream, feel free to join in if you're on the PlayStation 4. Just send me a friend request and you can join in game while we play. Be sure to check out our partners at StarWarsGaming.net so you can keep up to date with all things happening within the Star Wars gaming universe. They also have guides and information on both Battlefront 2 and Battlefront 2015, so be sure to go check them out. Like all weapons that are unlocked after the starting weapon, the FWMB-10K has 3 modifications available. These modifications are improved cooling, night vision, and an ion shot. You are able to attach 2 modifications to the weapon at a time, but personally I usually only use one, and that's the improved cooling, which we'll go over here in a second. The night vision sight, like all night vision sights in this game, unless they fixed it, which I don't think they have, only works about half the time and is really unreliable. You can use it to counter flash grenade effects if you're having a hard time with officers constantly blinding you, but other than that, I find it more of an annoyance than useful. For the ion shot, this is good if you're focusing on vehicles and turrets, and it doesn't have that big of effect honestly on this weapon, but it does decrease your damage overall to troopers, and we'll talk about the damage a little bit later on in this video, so I won't go too much into it here, but the damage on the heavy weapons is already pretty low, and making them weaker just doesn't appeal to me. Now that we've kind of covered the other 2 modifications, let's talk about improved cooling. This modification was broken in patch 1.2 along with the others in the game, but now it's fixed. The cooling modification does not decrease the amount of time it takes to cool a weapon, but increases the number of rounds available before being forced to cool down. Without the cooling modification, the FWMB-10K has 40 rounds available for continuous fire before being forced to cool. If you add the improved cooling modification, it jumps to the highest in class at 64 rounds available. The next closest in class is the DC-15 LE without the explosive round and the starting weapon, which is at 55. The cooling on the FWMB-10K is the same and shares with all other heavy weapons besides the TL-50. A partial or manual cool will take about 5 seconds, and if you overheat the weapon with the blue option, it comes up at 4 seconds. So it's faster to overheat and then play the minigame if you're really good at hitting the blue portion as soon as it comes up. The gold comes up at about 6 seconds, and a full cool will take you about 7 seconds. The cooling times for the heavy weapons are way longer than they are for the other blasters, which is really strange since you don't necessarily have more rounds than any other class. While they definitely outdo the specialist in rounds available, and now the officer with the nerf to the SE-44C, the Assault CR2 has 50 rounds available and much shorter cooling times. While it still has less damage than the FWMB-10K, the rate of fire for the CR2 definitely makes up for it. Speaking of rate of fire, the FWMB-10K has a rather slow rate of fire. It's not the slowest in the game, but it is slowest in class. The FWMB-10K has rounds per minute of 450, which is the same as the DC-15 LE with explosive shot, but it's much lower than the DC-15 LE without the explosive shot, which that one goes to 720, and the TL-50's 700 rounds per minute. While it's still faster than all but one of the specialist weapons, and faster than the Assault's EL-16 HFE, it doesn't compare to either the Specialist or Assault when it comes to damage per round. I find this slow rate of fire to really hurt the weapon in the heavy class in general. While you can make this weapon work for you, I personally prefer a faster rate of fire than a slower one, even if the damage is lower, since headshots will make up the difference in the damage done. Again, it's a personal preference, but the rate of fire on this is one of the major reasons I do not like the heavy class, except for the TL50, but the TL50 is closer to the CR2 than any of the heavy blasters. When it comes to damage, the FWMB-10K, man that is a mouthful, is the second highest available in damage per round in the class. It's right behind the DC-15LE explosive shot. The FWMB-10K does 24 damage per round at close range and drops down to 15 damage per round at long range. When you add the ion modification, this drops the damage to 22 damage per round at close and 13 damage per round at long. With or without the ion shot, the only weapon and modification that outdoes it per round in damage is the DC-15LE with explosive shot at 25 damage per round. Keeping the damage in mind, that both weapons have the same rate of fire, and that the FWMB-10K has more rounds available before being forced to cool, it's a better option than the DC-15LE explosive round without the glitch. So let's take a look at the time to kill, or the rounds to kill, at close range with the FWMB-10K. You'll be able to drop a specialist in 5 rounds, and an officer or assault in 7, and another heavy in 9. When you start pushing long range, it becomes a hit marker machine, taking 7 rounds still for a specialist, 10 for an assault or officer, and then a whopping 14 for another heavy. With the ion attachment, it'll take 5 for a specialist still, 7 for an assault or officer still, and 10 for another heavy, and that's up from 9. When pushing long range, it'll take 8 from a specialist, up from 7, 12 for an officer or assault, which is up for 10, and 16 for a heavy, which is up from 14. While it still outdamages the other weapons per round in the heavy class, the issue comes with the low rate of fire. This makes it really hard to finish someone off who isn't already hurt before they get behind cover or can return fire. While it's still possible, it's just much harder than it really needs to be. When we look at the accuracy though for the FWMB-10K, it is by far more accurate than any other of the heavy weapons out there, and you are able to hit headshots pretty reliably at close range with this weapon. When you start pushing long range, it just takes a lot of rounds to down someone, but you can still hit them. The hard part is making sure you down someone that's at full health before they get behind cover. The accuracy though is the best in this class, so it is very good for those long range engagements, but you'd probably want to keep within the medium range in order to keep this weapon on par and on track with the other classes. In comparison to the other weapons in the heavy class, it's a better all-around weapon since it is able to hit more targets at range than some of the others. However, at closer ranges, it still lags behind the TL50 and the DC-15LE with their much faster rounds per minute. With that said, when I run heavy and I'm not running the TL50 because it's usually on blast and I need heavy footage, this is my next go-to weapon within the heavy class. With that said, I still do not like the heavy class. I know a lot of you do, and that's perfectly fine. I just don't find them all that entertaining, to be honest. Well, I appreciate you guys watching this video. That is the last weapon for the heavy class that I have to go over. So be sure to check out the playlist if you're looking for the other heavy weapons. And if you're looking for the other weapons in general, I think we still have the NT242 left to go, but we're reaching the end of the Blasters breakdown. And then from there, I don't know what'll take this slot, but I appreciate your guys' time. I appreciate you watching the video. Make sure to hit that like and subscribe, and I'll see you in game.